I want to talk about Lenny Bruce.
So he opened the gates for like the new age comedy.
He was at a place where he was selling out every venue that he was performing.
Like why are all your favorite names mostly American comics?
Next step on stage is Shunky.
Fine. This is not about you. This is not about me. Start. Hello. Yeah, that's how we start. We shout start.
Hi Naveen.
Hi, Shanky, aka Shankar Chugani,
Shankar Chugani.
as called by his fans. You are the only guy who took his actual name for a celebrity, for a reality show. You chucked your nickname, which was cooler, I guess.
Thanks, man.
I want to know though. I want to know though. Why?
No,
did you
because I didn't want to be the 35-year-old comic called Shunky. That's my main. I didn't want, like, if I start wearing pants and shirts
Yeah,
while I'm on
like,
stage.
you don't want to be-
Next step on stage is Shunky.
No one wants a Netflix documentary same name like Shanky
That's
Chugani.
never
You know,
gonna
like,
be.
like people are, hey, some kid fellow only. We don't want to watch it.
Some
I think
kid fellow.
already
kid
look
fellow.
short also. Like I'm sorry.
This is right out of the gate. Naveen is like, we need something interesting for the people to watch. So Shunky, you short, tiny little guy who was doing like recitation.
Bharatanatyam
Just random. Bharatanatyam.
and Kuchipudi. Okay, fine. This is not about you. This is not about
Yes.
me. As you know, the show is called The Comics Comic. Quickly, who's your? I know you have a lot of favorite comics, but on the top of your head today, who's your favorite comic and what is his favorite joke of yours?
I want to talk about Lenny Bruce.
Okay.
Because he was the first comic to talk to the audience without presenting a routine. The first guy to do stand-up the way we do it today, the way we follow all the 565 legends of comedy that we've watched across the globe. The first person to do it on documented, like on a show, or the first person to do it live was Lenny Bruce.
Quickly, what was it? How was it before him?
It was very performative. It was very
Theatrical.
It was very theatrical. It was very, like, it was present, like the difference between a newscaster and someone taking an interview is different. A newscaster is just presenting. So comedians would do that. Like, so these two men walk into a bar and one of them says, "Hey man, it's been a long time since I saw you." It's like, you didn't check your home last night. Stupid, like things like that.
Like the ones in those Twinkle books or
Yeah, everything. Even if it was stories, it was presented very like unattached to the audience. It was just a performance that was not different from how the audience reacts. Today, if you're performing and it doesn't go well, you talk to the crowd and you try and connect with them and then start telling jokes. But before Lenny Bruce came, it was just presentations of jokes.
Great. We'll talk more about him and the styles but like, what is his favorite joke of yours or the one?
There's one bit he does on the Steve Allen show called All Alone.
Okay.
If I could just play that.
Do you want to give a little bit of context before we play it?
So he's singing to the crowd, and while he's singing, he stops and he starts talking, like making jokes while he's singing. So, and the whole context of the song is he's going to be alone because his wife is not going to be there with him when he's successful, and then he talks about how he ends up alone. That's the whole routine.
Great. Sounds sad, but let's see how he makes it funny. Yeah.
The best way.
Oh, a joy to be all alone. I'm happy alone, don't you see? I've convinced you. I don't know, I get so dramatic about it. You're better off alone, man. That's it, I'm gonna get a whole bunch of new suits. You know, I've had the same dumb suit for 10 years. You walk in her closet, you can't even breathe. That's it, I'll get a whole bunch of suits. I'll get a chick that likes to hang out, man. I'll have them vodka parties. That's modern. Vodka parties, swing it up, ball it up. I'll get a chick who likes to drink. Boy, my wife sure used to look good standing up against the sink. She's the lowest, though. I really put her down. No, I really miss her. I don't want some sharp chick that can quote Kerouac and walk with poise. I just want to hear my old lady say, "Get up and fix the sink. It's still making noise." All alone, all alone, like a near-sighted dog wears the bone. Ah, but it's better to be all alone. No more taking out the garbage, hear her yakking on the phone. I gave her everything, even my mother's ring. But to me she was so petty. Sometimes I wish that she were dead. But it'll probably take her 2 hours to get ready. When she's old, then she's going to be sorry. That's it. Like, she's young and swinging now, and she can get a lot of guys, but when she's old, I can see her about 20 years from now. How you doing, Annie? I haven't seen you in a long time. You look pretty good, baby. You're still washing your hair with Dutch cleanser, I see. Yeah, you look good. You gained a few pounds. What happened to your neck? I heard you got married a few times, huh? Me, no, I've always stayed single. I've been investing in property. I picked up a little place in Mexico. Maybe you've heard of it. It's called Acapulco. I don't know. Where are you living? A furnished room? That's nice. You cook on the radiator, the paper drapes. And sit in the lobby and watch television and all, you know. That's cool, yeah. Yeah, that's cool. You have the Diners Club. You're sorry for you go first class in those joints. I know that. Yeah, that's it. Her future spells a murky gloom. I'll be rich and famous, and she'll be living in a furnished room, but it's going to be too late. I won't hear a moan. I'll be living in my Nob Hill mansion, rich and all alone. All alone. All alone. I'll be rich, but so all alone.
That was the bit. Now, I could have chosen funnier comics, but because the show is comics comic, he was the first guy that set the bar or opened the doors for legends like George Carlin and Richard Pryor and everybody else who came after him.
I thought they were from the same era, but I think Lenny Bruce was a little earlier.
Was the predecessor of George Carlin and Richard Pryor. They say that Lenny Bruce was the first person to use profanity on stage, and George Carlin was the first person to use profanity on stage successfully.
Okay.
Because he got chastised and arrested, and it was claimed that he was very vulgar. I didn't choose a bit where he's being vulgar because Lenny Bruce stand up for 10, 12 years before he started talking to the crowd about problems of society. And this was right around that time before he changed. So, when I saw him doing this in 1940s.
This is 40s?
Yes.
Okay.
This is right around the time before television became big. The reason why comedians were very presentative, like their conversation was very presenting, was because radio was very big at that time, before television. So everything was good on how you would communicate something just using voice. So he was the first guy to talk to the crowd the way we are having a conversation right now. So that's why I chose him.
I think he also has some record of the number of times he went to jail.
I don't know if it's a record.
I don't know if it's a record, but he went to jail a lot more times, and he was one of the pioneers of modern day freedom of speech in stand-up.
He had a case against him that got pardoned by the US 45 years or so after he died.
Oh shit.
Because they said that whatever he's saying is vulgar. And it is, and his point was vulgarity or obscenity is trying to arouse someone in the public. That is what obscene means. When you're in public and there's a different decorum than when you're in private. If someone does something that is arousing, that is someone is being obscene. His point was, I'm not using words to be obscene. I'm trying to make a point. And he tried to do his set in the court in front of the judge, and the judge said, there's no way you're going to be using profanity in the court. And he tried. When he was arrested, there were so many celebrities vouching for him and trying to be with him and telling the people that you should support Lenny Bruce. But because of the federal cases, he was not able to perform on many shows. His shows got cancelled. He got arrested. His tours got cancelled. Eventually, he has a sad ending that he overdosed on drugs
and he never got too big while he was alive.
When he was big, when he was in his prime, right around this time, when he was on the Steve Allen show, he was pretty big. He was at a place where he was selling out every venue that he was performing at. There was no questions. People would rush to see Lenny Bruce. He's in Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. They portrayed him.
He's one of the main characters.
Yeah, so he was one of the first guys that George Carlin and a lot of other people looked up to. In fact, George Carlin says that Lenny Bruce saw George Carlin perform and gave him a few contacts to try and get more opportunities. So given the stature of George Carlin, Lenny Bruce is the forgotten guy who did all the hard work. Because it was impossible for you to be on stage and talk to the audience, and if it's not working, to not do well without having that safe, presenter tone, that's why.
So he opened the gates for like the new age comedy that we are like, which we are adapting in India in a way.
Yes.
And this is a problem till date, even in India. Like using profanity is still like you still see comments saying like, "Hey, why are you using abusive words and all that?" Like
but the problem with Indian comics, so to speak, is we overuse it just because we can. Like if someone who doesn't use profanity on stage were to use it to make a point, it'll have a bigger impact than someone using profanity every, say, 5th minute itself is too much.
But who decides when someone is overusing it? Is it the comics prerogative or is it the audience?
I would imagine it's how you have a conversation in any setting. Like if you're at home and every once in a while, if you're all like, "Yo man, you're a fucking idiot," it's fine. But every third sentence, if you speak like that, then the word loses its edge. It just becomes plain.
This I've observed. Like when and it shows on stage. You don't even have to know the comic. But when someone overdoes it, I'm sure he doesn't talk like that in private or to his friends or something. And then he's just overdoing it just to be on stage, just to sound cool on stage. Like
some words grab people's attention, and people listen when they say, because it's a risky word that you're saying on stage. But if you're making a point with that risky word, that's all right. Like Richard Pryor, the previous comic, Kelt spoke about him. I want to kill him because I wanted to talk about Richard
You wanted to do everything. He at least was confused between like 4 comics to discuss.
Because I've been following stand-up.
Yeah, I know you're
As in, I made an Excel sheet of all the comedians that I think were incredible, and that list is now at, I think, 1,000 something of the number of specials that are out there in the world already.
In a way, like Shanky has already done what I'm trying to do here, introducing comics, but he did it in a very smaller way on Instagram. Like he keeps promoting good specials. I saw like I once got his hard drive. Like I think like it had like about like 250 specials or something. Like
something to that effect. Something to that effect.
Comics I haven't heard. Like I saw a lot of.
That was what got me exciting when I first met Karunesh Talwar. We were sitting in a lobby in Hyderabad, and I had my hard disk, and we bonded over comedians that we love. And I said, "Can I borrow some of the comedians?" And he's like, "Sure." And he opened his laptop, and there was a whole list of comedy specials. So from like 100 specials, I went to 250 in like one day, and that was the happiest day of my life. I didn't get laid that day, but still, that was the happiest day of my life.
Talking about Lenny Bruce again. Like, I mean, I understand he's the pioneer of modern day stand-up, the way it is done, and is one of the most courageous and outspoken comics of that era, which kind of opened up doors for a lot more people. But apart from that, as a comic, as a joke writer, I mean, what do you like about him?
He's very sharp. He's very calculative in terms of how he speaks. He doesn't, like some comedians, when they are talking, they'll stop their sentences halfway to start saying another point. But Lenny Bruce, when he's talking, he speaks so well that you don't see the joke coming.
Like the articulation.
Yeah, like the way he speaks seems like he. It's a very good question. Now, lost in just sheer, like me having to defend what I like about Lenny Bruce is, I'm like, because honestly, there have been funnier comics after him that we relate to more. But if you think about a time in 1940s on Earth where there was nobody to look up to. So he was the first guy who went up on stage and says, you know what I think. That's not something that was unheard of before. Like I said, everybody before that was very like, so in the news today, we heard that 3 men were walking naked in the middle of the night, and 2 of them threw the third guy because his penis was not the same size as theirs.
Very satirical.
Yeah, I don't know why I chose that example, because they wouldn't say all this in the 40s. But you get the point. It was very like, so a man and a woman walk into a bar, and the man says blah, 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 and the woman says blah, 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 and the man says, hey, and that's the joke. But he was the first guy who was like, do you wonder if like there is like food and healthcare across the globe? Again, I know I'm going for weird examples, but his thing of how he's talking.
I think there are 2 things. One is to make your set very personal and anecdotal and like truly expressing what you think. I think that itself was a risk at that point, because that's why people wanted to be safe. They never said like, I think this, but I just saw this, you know. And then it's kind of, you detach yourself from the incident, and then you, whatever statements you're making, like, I don't believe in it, like don't come after me for saying this. I think Lenny Bruce was one of the first guys who said like, I think this, and like that is the crux of modern day stand-up.
Correct.
Like, comedians have become some of the most opinionated people who really stand by their beliefs. Like, they're the ones who go against the left, the right, and anything. Like, you know, that.
There's another comedian called Bob Newhart, who's very good with voices and impressions. So his stand-up is very much talking on the phone with the doctor and trying to get the right number, because every time he calls, there's a wrong number, and he tries to. It's a whole routine. There were bits that people would do that were routines where you're just talking, presenting your idea, presenting a routine that you're unattached from. So as you said, when there's someone who's opinionated and they're saying what they think and it's funny, that's a risk that the first person to take was Lenny Bruce.
That's great, and thanks for introducing us to Lenny Bruce. Do you have any quick new names that you're really liking?
Well, Bill Burr is someone that
He's new to you.
in compared to Lenny Bruce, yes. Okay.
Oh my God, yeah, of course.
Kelt Shresht is another comedian that I think sucks.
Let's talk about some real names here. Can we?
Some new guys who I think are really, really good is what you're asking. Andrew Schultz, Mark Norman, Sam Morrill, Adrienne Appalucci.
This is a name I haven't heard.
She's wonderful, very smart with what she's writing and very funny.
This is a question I ask almost. I'm going to ask everyone. Like, why are all your favorite names mostly American comics?
Because that's what I started watching when I got inspired to do stand-up.
And you still stand by it. You still think some of the best work comes.
I don't think some of the best work comes from there. I think some of the earlier work of stand-up comes from there.
Okay.
I think stand-up, the art form started in UK and US as performing for long, big halls where there were, royalty and all sitting. And when it started in the US, that was the first country that had media. The country that came up with television and radio and internet and everything. So comedians there had been living what we are living right now. At a time, 1940s India was a whole different scenario. 2020 India and 2020 America are still poles apart, but they're closer if you compare 1940s America and 1940s India. So the first country to have it and the first people to voice their opinion, I think, was the names that we mentioned, George Carlin.
So with time, India will catch up in terms of the skill
after a long time. After a long time.
But until then, why should someone like an Indian audience come and watch you and me if they can watch Lenny Bruce or Pryor?
Because Lenny Bruce and Pryor were incredibly.
Firstly, they are no more, so you can't watch them live.
I was getting that.
And even if they were alive, they are not going to come to Marathon.
Yeah, they're going to be performing for you, sitting in Cardubi snarling.
Yeah, exactly.
So Lenny Bruce and Richard Pryor, all of them did such good work that you don't think you're ever going to get there. You don't be like one day You never, because their work is light years ahead of everything that we're doing right now. But today in India, talking about experience that we are living through, that we can do. I don't think Lenny Bruce can come today and talk about getting an Uber better than us.
Okay.
He can't. Like we'll
Getting
have,
Uber in India.
yeah,
Bangalore.
getting an Uber in India or lockdown, so to say. He won't be able to. We'll have to help him out.
Okay.
To he'll do great jokes, but so comedians that are right there right now, we are the ones who can talk about our situation currently. So that's why people should come and watch us
Okay.
instead
Shankar
of
has a
watching.
fair
And
point.
secondly, live stand-up is unlike anything else. You can be everything that you can put on a frame where a lot of people watch you, and that is great. If you can stay in your bedroom and play a game of any kind, even if it's chess, and people watch and you talk to them and you make them laugh, that is great. But it's not anywhere close to what a live stand-up show is. A live stand-up show with 8 people is any day way better than 1,000 people watching your streaming.
True that. I mean, and we have experienced it for the past 5, 6, or 7 years.
7
for
years.
you,
For
yeah.
two people,
We know
4
the
people.
value of it. And that's something I still bothers me a little bit. A lot of Indians have watched stand-up online. I think like the percentage of conversion of people like who come to a live show and watch is still very, very, very
Yeah, because
less.
they don't see it as a viable option of entertainment. Anything that's online, and if it's funny, you would watch. Like the amount of funny videos or memes that we consume is quite high. So everybody who is watching this is watching it from the convenience of their smartphone. And then from there, for them to be like, I should go watch this live. And I don't think a lot of people think that live shows are better than watching comedy on YouTube. They think, I get to watch this from my house, so it's better. But what they experience at a live show is, I can't explain it. It's there. It's way better. That's the reason why I think live performances are still here. Live performances have been going on for 5,000 years. And as and when things happen, it was a threat to live, like theater. But as we go ahead, we see that no matter how much you give people the convenience of watching whatever they want, the way they want to watch it, it doesn't beat a live show. A live performance is incomparable.
Okay, we have sold this enough.
Yeah, I think
I
we've
guess.
gone to
But yeah,
that.
well, like the point is, explore Lenny Bruce. Watch more of him. Is one of the research about him. Like he has a book also, which is pretty famous. If you'd like to,
Yeah.
forget the name of the book. It's one of like
How to talk dirty and
how to
influence
talk
people.
to, and inspire people.
Influence people.
Influence people. That's like one of the best books that I haven't read. But you read.
I like how he was selling it like it's a book that he's written. It's actually his biography.
Exactly.
He's like, I have written this book.
If
That's
you're
funny.
a fan of comedy history, that's the book you start with, I guess. And thanks, Shankar Chugani, for coming. And
You're welcome. Is there anything else that are you not going to edit this out in the middle for it to look a little different, or you just
I
want to?
thought I wouldn't edit it out, but
Since I
you
mentioned
addressed it, this should
No,
be
keep it in. Even if you keep the editing part in is fine, because when you asked me who is the comedian that you like look up to, there are so many. The names that I can start.
Quickly, just go with the names.
Well, Patrice O'Neill, Paula Poundstone, Doug Stanhope, Louis C.K., Dave Chappelle, Don Rickles, Rodney Dangerfield, Stephen Wright, Brian Regan, Jim Brewer, Jim Norton, Colin
Now
Quinn.
we'll add this list on the comment section. Please try to explore all of them, and I will get you back to discuss about more of these comics.
Thank you so much. Just a
definitely.
small last plug-in. If you want people to watch stand-up comedy to the grades, that if they go to my Instagram, there's a highlight
Oh my, okay.
where it's called Comedy Specials, stand-up comedy specials. And if they go through that highlight, I think at this point there are some 52 specials names that I think never gets old.
Great. Go to
I have an
Shankar
L-shaped
Chugani.
sofa.
Half a comic. Half a
Lowercase.
comic on Instagram.
Devil bitch tongue kissing
Watch
her.
all the specials.
A jackal in the mouth.
No, don't come back and comment on this video. Come to a live
But he
show.
loves you.
All right?
Okay, bye-bye guys. On that
So maybe
note,
you're not so fucking
Thank you,
special.
Naveen. This is fun.
thank you.
Thanks a lot. I'm Kevin Hart.